A warm greeting. Today is Monday, July 17, 2023. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia speaking. In this video, we will be discussing a strong tropical wave that is currently emerging from the region of Africa. We will be monitoring this disturbance over the next few days as it moves westward over the tropical Atlantic, as conditions may be marginally favorable for cyclonic development over the next 10 days. I must mention that, at the moment, the National Hurricane Center has not marked this area as an area of interest for cyclonic development, but I suspect that within the next 2 days, they will begin to designate it as an area of interest for possibly the formation of the next tropical depression. Before continuing to talk about this forecast and the changes that have occurred today, I wanted to mention that Tropical Depression Don continues to move slowly over the waters north of the Atlantic. It is expected to maintain a track over Atlantic waters without affecting any land areas, although it is forecasted to re-intensify into subtropical storm Don in the next few days. Without further ado, let's talk about this strong tropical wave. When we zoom in on the infrared satellite image, you can see that it is generating strong thunderstorms over West Africa. Soon, this tropical wave will reach the Atlantic waters, and we will begin to see how it behaves once it moves over the water. It will be crucial to observe the transition from land to water as it gives us an idea of whether this disturbance will encounter favorable conditions for development in the coming days. As I mentioned yesterday, the African monsoon trough is quite active, partly due to the passage of a Kelvin wave in the Atlantic region. In the GFS model projection, we can see a large circulation that will develop to the west of Africa in the next few days. I mentioned yesterday that forecasting tropical cyclones associated with the monsoon trough can be quite challenging because we sometimes observe the formation of several low-pressure systems. We need to observe with great patience to see where the center of circulation finally consolidates. This consolidation could have significant impacts on its future trajectory. It is still too early to discuss the specific path this disturbance may take, although models are consistent in showing a strong high-pressure system in the Atlantic, which will likely favor a west-northwestward trajectory. This is why we should start paying closer attention to the Caribbean region by the end of this week. However, for now, there is nothing to worry about. Let's see what the latest forecasts from the global models show. Here we have the American model, GFS, which depicts a tropical depression or tropical storm developing by Sunday, halfway between the Caribbean and Africa. The latest runs of the GFS model have been quite consistent in showing the possible development of Tropical Storm Emily. Additionally, we have the European model, which remains consistent in not showing development, although it does indicate a strong tropical wave moving towards the Caribbean during this weekend. On the other hand, we have the German model, ICON, which develops a tropical depression by Saturday afternoon. Furthermore, the ensemble members of the GFS model, some of them show a tropical storm approaching the Caribbean region by the middle of next week. Also, note that the ensemble members which develop a tropical depression or tropical storm Emily, precisely maintain a trajectory over ocean surface temperatures that remain quite warm for this time of year. Additionally, some ensemble members of the European model also develop a tropical depression or tropical storm and bring it closer to the Caribbean region by the middle of next week. As you can see, it also shows the high level of uncertainty in its trajectory. Some members have a trajectory passing northeast of the Caribbean, while others have westward trajectories that could bring this tropical wave or perhaps the future cyclone to the Caribbean region next week. Today, we saw that the ensemble members of the European model have increased the probability of a tropical depression developing just east of the Lesser Antilles. Currently, there is a 40 to 45% chance of a tropical depression forming by the middle of next week. This is why I believe that soon the National Hurricane Center will designate this area as an area of interest for development. We will remain attentive to any developments. Although we forecast that conditions may be marginally favorable for cyclonic development, there are some factors that could hinder or even prevent the formation of a tropical cyclone. Most importantly, a significant amount of dry air is forecasted over the tropical Atlantic region. In the GFS model projection, we can see that by the middle of next week, there is a considerable amount of dry air surrounding the possible cyclone. However, it's important to note that this tropical wave is accompanied by a broad area of moisture that may be protecting the circulation. It will be interesting to see how this dry air interferes with the potential development of this tropical wave. Another crucial and interesting factor is that, as you know, the wind shear remains quite strong over the eastern Caribbean and is associated with the El Niño phenomenon in the Pacific. However, the models briefly show that the wind shear may decrease dramatically during the next week. Here we can see that some models, such as the GFS model, depict conditions that are typically quite favorable for the development of a tropical cyclone. Currently, they show wind shear well below normal levels in the early part of next week. If this tropical wave were to develop, it may encounter more favorable conditions when passing over or near the eastern Caribbean region. That's why it's important for us to continue paying attention, as is normal during hurricane season. I repeat, there's no need to worry at this moment since this system is still far away from the local region, and there are still many days to monitor its evolution and see what changes occur in the forecast. I will record another video if there are any significant changes in this forecast. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the red button below the video that says subscribe. Thank you very much for your support, and don't forget to share this video with friends and family to reach a wider audience. See you soon.